Hello and welcome to ASF Today. My name is Christopher Brower. I'm the Program Supervisor at the Adaptive Sports Foundation in Windham, New York. It's a sunny day here in the Catskills. It's pretty chilly. It's only in the 40s. But that doesn't mean I'm not getting excited about spring cycling season. I'm sure many of you have already been out riding your bikes. I look forward to that myself. I've been pedaling indoors on the trainer. Not as much fun. Anyhow, we're going to do some pre-recorded segments and then hopefully some live segments where you can reach out and ask questions. We're going to try to provide some background, some of my knowledge about cycling and staying safe, making sure that your equipment's in good working order. I'm going to reach out to some of my friends in the community who are cycling experts. Nick Bowe from Windham Mountain Outfitters is a friend who's going to help us out in that department. But I would love your feedback. I'd love your questions. Want to answer anything that we can, do anything to help you be more comfortable, more confident on your bicycles. So reach out, let us know, and thanks so much for listening. Stay safe. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. Okay, gang, I'm going to talk a little bit about tires and tire pressure. Lots of different tires for lots of different kinds of bikes. So there might be questions. That's my thought. Anyway, this is a pretty standard 29-inch mountain bike wheel and 29-inch mountain bike tire. So on the side of the tire, most tires, it'll tell you what the preferred range is. This gives me 23 to 50 PSI, pounds per square inch. So if I were going to ride on pavement, 50 might be okay. If I'm going to ride in the woods and want to get some traction, closer to that 23 number would be where I'm at. These tires are set up tubeless, which means there's a sealant inside the tire, and there's no tube to pinch flat. So I'm going to pump this up to somewhere in the neighborhood of like 24, 25 pounds at most. So to do that, to be accurate, you need a pretty decent pump with a pretty good gauge. And tire pressure is one of those things you can experiment with depending on where you're riding and your riding style and what you hope to get out of your bike performance. A firmer tire is going to feel a little faster, but it's going to provide less traction. So there's a balance to be found. Not only is it true about your where you're riding and your intentions for riding, but also how much you weigh. Somebody who's smaller could get away with riding with less tire pressure than somebody who's as big as me. Anyway, that's a start. We'll talk more about tire pressure in just a minute. So this is a fat bike and a fat bike tire. So a lot more rubber here, but actually a lot less tire pressure. I'm going to look on my tire here and see what it tells me to inflate it to. This says 20 PSI. Now 20 PSI would be appropriate for this tire on the road or maybe some summer riding conditions. But I would argue for winter or for sand, you're going to want quite a bit less tire pressure. You can see how squishy this is. But one of the most important things to prevent flat tires is really to start out with the right air pressure in your tires when you start out with. My gauge won't go low enough to measure the pressure in this tire. So I'm going to do it a lot by feel on a fat bike tire. There are gauges you can buy that are separate gauge that will measure this low. Right now, this is quite soft, but that's really where you want it for a fat bike tire. I'm going to put 3 little pumps in there, and that actually adds quite a bit of firmness. And that's going to be where I leave it for my summer mountain biking with my fat bike. This isn't my first choice for all of my riding around here in the Catskills, but it is fun to take out the fat bike once in a while, even in the summertime. It is a real blast when the snow is good in the wintertime, but the bike excels in every condition. It's actually a lot of fun no matter what the weather is or what trails you ride are. So this is a 26-inch wheel that's got a 4.7-inch tire on it. So that's a big fat tire. It gets great traction. It's not as efficient when it's smooth as something like the 29er, but is a lot of fun. Next up, we'll talk about some road bike tire pressure. Okay, so here's a pretty traditional road bike wheel, rim brake wheel, and a pretty traditional, pretty skinny road bike tire. This is a 25 millimeter tire. So this is a tire that, again, There is some difference in performance and ride quality depending on the air pressure. Also just the quality of the tire. So a higher end tire is going to be a little bit stickier, be a little bit less resistance on the pavement. You'll get a little faster but a little bit grippier tire. Usually a more budget tire is going to be more durable. It's kind of like racing tires for a car. They don't last long, but they're fun to drive. Same thing with bicycles. So this tire is going to be around 100 pounds for somebody my size. I'm about 190 pounds. So I'm going to pump this up to just under 100 pounds, maybe 95, 97 pounds for me for my front tire. My back tire, I'll go all the way up to 100 on this style bike with the CNE traditional road tires. Hello again. So this is Chris from the Adaptive Sports Foundation talking to you about some tire pressure issues. Cycling is one of my big passions, and tires are one of the pieces of the puzzle that can lead to fun, safe rides or headaches and calling for a ride home. So this bike is kind of an adventure bike, a little bit of a gravel grinder bike. It's meant to be comfortable kind of on dirt roads or maybe not perfect pavement. This is a 700C wheel with about a 30 millimeter wide tire on it, which is significantly wider than what you'd see on your traditional road racing bike. I'll try to give you a view of that. Quite a bit wider. So has a Presta valve, which some people call all sorts of things, but Presta valve is the technical name. This is a valve that has a little threaded piece on the top. You have to unthread if you want to put air in it. When I press in on that, it allows air to come out, but it needs to be open in that unthreaded position for me to be able to add air. So this wider tire is going to allow me to run a little softer tire pressure. It's also set up tubeless, which again helps me run low tire pressure and avoid flats. We can talk more about that in a later segment. This tire says its recommendation for tire pressure is between 60 and 85 PSI. So for me on my front tire, I'm going to run this at about 80. I'm going to pump this up to 80 pounds. And that'll give me a comfortable ride, take some of the jarring out of my hands. If you think about what a tire is, it's a little bit of air between you and the pavement. So that's a little bit of a shock absorber, right? It's also going to give me good traction, which is going to allow me to confidently, steer aggressively into turns and feel comfortable that I know my tire is going to stick. So there's 80 PSI in my front tire. I might go up to that 85 PSI, the top end of the recommended range for this tire, in the back, just because more of your weight sits on your back wheel, your back tire. But again, tire pressure is something that you can play with depending on your weight, your riding style, your riding conditions, the tires you're riding, the kind of bike that it is. So I'd love to hear your questions. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please reach out. The Adaptive Sports Foundation is here to guide, here to serve, here to help you answer your cycling questions and anything else you might want to talk about sports, adaptive sports, things that we do here in the Catskills. Hope you're having a great day and look forward to next time. Bye-bye.